A Maine judge has been shut down by the Supreme Court. She had ruled, and her name is Superior Court Justice Michaela Murphy. She ruled that anybody who has been in jail without a lawyer for, I think it's over 10 days, that they were to be released from jail. Now, mind you, this is in Maine. There aren't even 30 across the entire state that this would affect, even if it was enacted across the entire state. But the Maine Supreme Court shut this down. This was supposed to happen like June 28th, but the Maine Supreme Court said no. We've got to look at this a little bit more. But what Judge Murphy is trying to do is get the state of Maine to follow what's basically a Supreme Court ruling. It's called Gideon B. Wainwright. And in it, it says that indigent defendants who cannot afford an attorney must be provided counsel in all, well, this says felony cases, but they've gotten to the point where it's pretty much anybody, but most of the time, most people don't even care when it comes to a misdemeanor. But the state wasn't able to provide that for everybody. And some people, not many, some people couldn't even afford bail, so these people were ending up staying in jail, not prison, but jail, for longer than 2 weeks because of this. Now, mind you, there are places like Rikers Island that people are staying for years for this same reason. But the ACLU sued. So I want you to hear from local news on this topic. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about this a little bit here. Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
Superior Court Justice Michaela Murphy says the state has been failing to provide legal representation to some low-income defendants at critical stages, including pretrial hearings, bail hearings, and plea bargaining. All of this in violation of defendants' state and federal constitutional rights.
There's a promise in the Constitution. If you can't afford a lawyer, one will be provided for you.
ACLU of Maine says last year more than 900 defendants in our state had to wait to be assigned an attorney. Some are still waiting. It's why they sued. Justice Murphy didn't go so far as to say charges should be dropped against those defendants until they're provided an attorney, but the ACLU says that's exactly what should happen.
For people that are being held in jail illegally, in violation of their constitutional rights, we think they should be released from jail.
In her ruling, Justice Murphy says the right to counsel is a continuous right, and Maine law demands thoughtful and substantive representation during the complex legal process. She called some of the state's arguments not credible. The Attorney General's office says they don't comment on pending litigation like this. Maine was the last state to implement a public defender system relying on lists of private attorneys who were paid to represent clients.
But over the years, those lists have gotten smaller and smaller.
Lawmakers have taken some steps to remedy this, doubling the hourly compensation for attorneys who take on clients who can't pay, and they launched a public defender system. Offices have started to open, but they're having trouble staffing them. Cumberland County Sheriff Kevin Joy says without proper representation, defendants linger in jail longer than they should.
And now it's up to the executive branch, the legislative branch, to bring the state into compliance with that order.
Justice Murphy plans to meet with attorneys from both sides this week to start talking about potential remedies. Brad Rogers, CBS 13 News.
A Superior Court justice says she will not wait to release people from jail who have been waiting for an attorney. Earlier this year, Justice Michaela Murphy ruled that the state's public defense agency is violating the Sixth Amendment by not providing Mainers with adequate legal representation. She planned to start releasing people who have been denied counsel for at least 2 weeks or people who have been charged and denied counsel for 2 months. Attorneys for the state asked for that decision to be paused while they appeal to the Maine Supreme Court, but that request has now been denied. The justice could begin dismissing charges and releasing defendants if the state does not provide them legal representation within 7 days. The Attorney General's office told us they do not comment on pending litigation.
This is only a situation that Maine is dealing with right now. But other states have started trying to figure out how to lessen their pre-trial confinement. What do you think? Do you think that somebody should be released if they're spending over a certain amount of time because they have not been provided with a lawyer? Now, if a person's accused of a heinous crime, okay, it can be said that there's also property theft. If somebody is a repeat property, they're committing property theft on a regular basis. But if it's like a first time or something like that, what do you think that should happen? For that matter, even if these people are accused of these things, they're only accused. They are not convicted. So what do you think that states should do? This is a 6th Amendment and a 14th Amendment issue. Most people are not aware of that. 6th Amendment says that a person must be provided with counsel. Now, it depends on, it should only state felony, but some are saying, or some rulings have said that it should be for all crimes. 14th Amendment, most people don't understand this, that is a 6th Amendment right. 14th Amendment, at one point, before the 14th Amendment was passed after the Civil War, until then, you didn't get those rights. You didn't get your Second Amendment right protected by the U.S. Constitution. You didn't get your Second Amendment rights protected by the Constitution. None of that was provided to you in states. It was only in certain instances. It wasn't until the 14th Amendment passed that states had to follow the U.S. Constitution and their Constitution. Equal protection. This was because of what was done to slaves and how the South was trying to get out of following the U.S. Constitution after the Civil War. So, what do you think? Do you think that these people deserve to be let out? That is the question that has to be answered here. And yes, this is an ACLU situation, but it also goes to a just system. So what's your opinion? Let's hear from you. What's your opinion on what's going on in Maine? So folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.